everyone. Thanks again for joining us here at the Not So Average Jane podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Tracy Roundhouse. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate the space.
Of course, it is honestly my honor and privilege to hold this space and allow you to share your story. And I get such all kinds of emotions really meeting the incredible women that I'm starting to kind of encircle myself around. And again, it is my honor and privilege to have you on today. So let's just jump right into it.
Right.
Let's start with your enlistment story. Can you share with the audience how you came to even join the military?
I certainly can. At the time, I was let me see, 19, like 20. And I kind of, I had a great job in Boston. I went to high school there. And I just was kind of bored with my life. So um, I went back to Illinois and job hunted. Nothing materialized from that. So what I decided to do was go to the recruiter's office and see what's going on. So I know the Navy, I can't swim. So I joined the Army because
Did
first
the
of all,
Navy
because
interest you at first, though, for some
I
reason?
went, I did. I went there first, but they have a swimming certification that's mandatory. So that was a no-go for me. And
Okay.
then I didn't think about the Marine Corps. I didn't want to go to the Marine Corps. And then the Air Force was a little stiff, and the Army kind of fit my vibe. And so I joined the Army, took the ASVAB, and got a 2 week departure date. I was ready to go.
Oh,
And
wow, it's quick.
so that was quick. I had made up my mind and, didn't want to change it. So I got a 2 week departure date. And so after the 2 weeks, I was off to basic at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Hmm.
And after that, I went to Fort Leonard Wood for AIT because I chose the MOS of heavy construction equipment repair 62 Bravo. That was my first job. And after that, I came back home. I was in the reserve. So I did some questioning in the reserves. I said, well, how do you retire from the reserves? They said, well, you got to go to all the weekend meetings 2 weeks a year. And when you're 65, you can apply for like 65. I was like, so I think I better go active.
Okay.
And so active duty, I went. First duty station was Mainz, Germany. And it was a wonderful aviation unit. I was in the Chinook unit. And so I did 23 years, and I went to combat on my 19th year. Instead of retiring, we got a stop loss message. Nobody is moving unless in support of the war. So I went to the war at 19 years. And I went to Iraq in May of 2003. And in July 2003, July 3rd, I was ambushed. I had the IED explosion experience, RPGs, AK-47s. We were just so blessed and fortunate that day that nobody died because two people at least should have, just from the way things happen. I'll give you a short demonstration of what I mean. My driver in my vehicle, she was like 410, maybe. And she kept complaining, my mirror's too high, my mirror's too high. So the day before we left on this convoy, we lowered the mirror. So during the ambush and the IED, there was a big piece of metal wedged in that bracket. If we hadn't moved it, it would have been in her chest.
Wow.
So
That is quite
yeah,
intense.
we had some really strange events that day. They followed up after the ambush with AK-47 fire, and the bullet came in my window hit the guy in the third vehicle in his helmet. He was wearing it properly. So if he'd have been wearing it like what we call John Wayne, he would have been dead. The bullet lodged in the lip of his Kevlar helmet. So yeah, it was a very odd day. So it's one of the days I appreciate the most because it really changed me into a uh, quantifiable better person because I literally saw my life before my eyes. It was supposed to be a bad situation, and
Ooh,
yeah, turned
okay.
out that we were all good. Hmm.
So let's take a couple steps back. What year
Okay,
did you enlist? Just to
I
give some
enlisted.
timeline perspective to the audience.
Absolutely. I enlisted in 1982.
1992,
82.
82. And
Hmm.
so you're kind of thinking at like 20 years, you're going to get out. You're going to
Yep.
ETS.
Yep.
And
I'm going to
then here,
retire.
yeah, you've kind of seen the world, done some things,
Yes.
participated in, the American way, contributed to your
Yes.
country, met some
Yes.
probably incredible people along your journey, and
Absolutely.
stop loss comes in.
It was crazy. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. My second job was admin. So therefore, I should have known if I was going to apply for retirement, I should have done it as soon as like the statue fell, you know. But if by the time I articulated everything, it was too late. So
Right.
it was
Well,
too
it's not like
late. There was
anybody
nothing I
saw
could
that
do.
happening, right?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, so for those of you who are unfamiliar, stop loss is essentially another loophole that, of course, the military has where they can just be like, oh, you think you're getting out of the military? Just kidding. There's some dire circumstance where we can essentially take all that paperwork and put it on hold. And they have that full flexibility to do so. Again, that's in the very, very fine, very microscopic print of your contract that you signed during your initial enlistment that nobody reads.
Correct. You have assessed it correctly. So therefore, I'm in First Armored Division, Inspector General's office at the time of the deployment. There are six of us. Our team is six people.
Mhm.
So we borrowed a vehicle from the MPs on our base. And so we went through it, tried everything out, ordered the parts that we needed because it was inoperational. So that
This
was
is
done.
in country. This is in Iraq.
No,
This
this
is
all
states.
happened in Germany. This is my departure. Yeah, my
Okay,
departure location was Wiesbaden, Germany. I was in
got
First
you.
Summer Division at the time. And
Okay, understood.
so, yeah, we went through the vehicle in Wiesbaden. Okay, made a list, ordered all the parts, understood the fact that when the vehicle got to Kuwait, we would put the parts on and journey on when we're directed to. And so after we got the vehicle done, we all started packing our conics with forms, mainly forms, because we take grievances from people who are going through whatever they may be going through. And so we did that and we packed up equipment, we packed up typewriters and so forth. We started getting issued our gear, our desert uniforms from Desert Shield, Desert Storm, nice and thick, beautiful camouflage. And we got the same boots that they had for Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And, slowly we're getting to the date. It was May 6th when we got on the bus. You know, everybody got their uh, last chance pregnancy test in Landstuhl right before we boarded while we're manifesting to board the plane, all the girls got their last, you know,
I
pregnancy
forgot
test.
about that, and even in the previous, podcasts that we've recorded, no one has brought that up, and so I'm glad that you do because it's all these little, like, intricate things that the average person doesn't know, and that, like, I even forgot about. Yeah, I forgot, like, literally right before we got on the plane, you got on a bus, they're handing out pee sticks like they're
Yes,
candy. Everyone's gotta
yes,
go pee on them. Wait, okay, you're not pregnant, and you go, and again, that's a
mhm,
female veteran thing.
specific. Yes, specific to females, okay?
Literally, guys, if
They
you
don't
can imagine like a plastic bag, nothing fancy, like your average grocery bag, okay, full of pregnancy pea sticks, and just like take one, pass it down, and then yeah. Yeah, I oh my God, I forgot all about that. That is so funny. Okay.
so we manifest, we already got on the bus, we're at land school, we're manifesting, getting ready to get on the big iron bird, the plane that's going to take us to destination unknown because we didn't know where we were going. So we get on the plane. It's a beautiful leased plane. And oh my God, I mean, they had movies, they fed us. We were like, man, this worth the United States. So we've all got our M16s up here and up there. Go to the bathroom, you might kill yourself tripping over one. So we get, we're airborne, we leave launch school, we land in Kuwait, I would say maybe 12 hours later.
Mhm,
And I'll never forget getting off the plane. There wasn't no, you weren't hooked up to the airport. You got off the plane, went down the stairs. And
mhm.
I took this deep breath in Kuwait and it felt like fire. I'll never, ever, ever forget that. And I was like, oh my God. And so it was all this desert. There were no trees. Everything was brown. So we get off the plane, we get our gear, and we go to this tent that they send us off to. And that's where we leave our gear at, and anything valuable, you better take it with you. Because now we're fixing the process through personnel
Mhm.
and get some more pee sticks just in case.
Yep.
They check you again to make sure you're not pregnant again when you boots on the ground. So we go through personnel. Primarily, the Army wants to make sure that if you die, your insurance is going to the right person. Absolutely. So we've only done this 7 times, and so maybe this will be the eighth. And after that, we go to finance and we have to have the birth certificates of our family members. Okay, these are really your family members. Okay, so we're going to pay them separation pay while you go off to war. Okay, and we're going to pay them money to buy food. We're going to pay them BAH, which is a housing allowance to help pay their rent. And we're going to give you hazardous duty pay. Woo! Big money there. And so we lingered around in Camp, Pennsylvania for at least a month and a half before anything exciting happened, like we could leave. So we did a night convoy from Kuwait to Iraq. Quite interesting. I did not know that you could put water in a bottle, wet a black sock, tie it to your mirror, and the water will be cold when you stop. Completely mind blowing. Blew my mind completely. So I learned that on the convoy. We also slept on top of our vehicles because of scorpions and desert spiders and that family of people there. I hate insects. And so we get to Iraq. Well, first the division doctor, we're driving in the middle, it's dark, and people are getting tired at our stop. And oh my God, we're just so tired. We want to sleep. So the division surgeon hands out these pills. Just take one pill with some water, and you'll feel more energized. Well, I didn't sleep for 3 days after we got to Iraq. So
Do
I
you know
don't know
what it
what he
was?
had. I wish I did because I have never had anything else like it. It felt to me like it was we're going off into space and we're going to get this pill. And I didn't know what it was, but I can tell you I could not sleep for 3 days.
Any other effects besides awake? Like, were you jittery or was your,
Yeah,
appetite up or down?
no appetite at all, just was moving.
I'll
I'm not going to tell you what I
I'll keep my
sound.
assumptions to myself, but
That's where I'm going here, because it sounded like what we received was something that is some type of a
an
narcotic
amphetamine,
drug, or
absolutely
in
an amphetamine.
an amphetamine. And I'm gonna tell you, we got back in those vehicles and we put the pedal to the metal. And
Yeah.
you know, I know we drove for 22 hours. I did pay attention to that. 22 hours straight we drove. And we were supposed to alternate, but in my vehicle, I drove the 22 hours because nobody would, volunteer to drive. So I was awake. So we get to Iraq, we get to Baghdad International Airport. That was our location. That's where we worked. And there were no tents. I don't know what advance party was doing, but there were no tents set up. Nothing was set up at all. So we put up our GT mediums and large, and we had no air conditioning for like a week. So it's like 120, between 120, 140 in Iraq. And um, it was just so hot. And we had plastic porta johns because there was no plumbing. So he told me to order like 5,000 surgical masks and gloves. So I did. I ordered it from US Cap. And I would go in the porta john with the surgical masks on because it was just the grossest thing. Plus, you're in there sweating, so you got to have some paper towels. You're sweating, and it was rough being a lady when lady time came. It was just the worst thing ever.
Mhm.
Not fun at all. Sanitation was like iffy at best.
So you still menstruated over there?
I still ministrated when I was over there, but I promised myself and God, as soon as I got back to the USA, I was going to pay for me um, a hysterectomy because I never wanted to bleed after that again. It was just so traumatic and gross, and it was one of the worst experiences of being over there as a lady. It
Most
was.
of us either went on the Depo-Provera shot or
Mhm.
took the pill, but skipped the sugar pills to avoid having a period.
You guys were smarter than I was. Nobody ever broke it down to me like that. I wish they had, because,
Yeah.
to add insult to injury, I had fibroids. I bled every 3 weeks. I had a period every 3 weeks. I was weak all the time. And I
Yeah.
quit eating meat because I didn't see any farm animals. And so I quit eating pork. I quit eating hamburgers. I quit eating hot dogs. All I ate was chicken, peanut butter, and salad. That was I was so weak. I thought I was, and I never ate meat for years after that. I eat meat now, but it took me years to get past that, like loaf.
Mhm.
Whenever the military serves you any type of loaf, it is mystery meat, in my opinion. I cannot even think of what it might be. So it was just things I
Yeah.
wasn't eating.
Hence
I
the
but
broad, vague term loaf or block, egg block. Like, what is egg block? I still don't really know, nor do I think I want to know ever.
bingo,
I just know it's
bingo.
disgusting, but if you douse it with enough hot sauce, you could maybe get it down if you're starved. But even then, I would just go scour
Yeah.
MREs and look for crackers and peanut butter.
And cheese and bread and make a grilled cheese. And well, it was so hot, you could put the cheese on the bread, and we would put it on a plastic plate, and we would leave it on the rooftop,
Mhm.
and then we would flip it over, and it would toast the bread and melt the cheese.
Yeah. Yep. We made top ramen. We finally got sent some top ramen and we just cut the liter bottle, the top off of a 1 liter bottle, put the ramen in there, set it out in the sun. In about 15 minutes, you had cooked
It'll
ramen.
boil. You want
People
some
get all,
green?
isn't it funny you hear people talking like today, even last 5, 10 years, like don't leave your plastic bottle in the vehicle and then drink it. And now people are on don't drink from a plastic water. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty much sure I have
We're
all
dead.
the carcinogens in me from those times. So
Yeah, you have to relax. You have to be a good boy. Yeah. Then we're dead already. I mean, like if you wanted little, you know, the little cans of green peas, you want
Mm-hmm.
to spice it up, you know, you could put the green peas, just crack the can, leave it on top of the roof, and the green peas would be boiling. So you
Yeah.
just pour off the water, and I would put them in my tuna, my canned
Yeah.
tuna. I
Yeah, we
mean,
got
you get
creative. You get
real
really
creative.
creative and resourceful with food for sure. One of the
Yes.
girls eventually got sent a rice cooker. And man, we made the hell out
Whoa.
of some rice, but I mean, we would cut up Vienna sausages and put it in there, or, I don't even remember. And it tasted amazing at the time. I'm sure if you served that to me now, I'd spit it back out. But
Exactly.
I mean, you can only
Exactly.
eat the same thing over and over again. And I'm sure you got told the same thing. You were advised not to eat any of the local food,
Local.
but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did.
I did too. I used to pay this guy. You know how the locals would try to get on base to work. Well, this one guy, he came every day. I paid him to ask his wife to send me chicken and rice. She sent me chicken and rice. Everybody in my office said, "You're going to die." I said, "I don't care." And the next week, they were ordering chicken and rice
Mhm.
because it had
Yeah.
the raisins in it. And it was like heaven to me.
It was
It
good,
was
and they have that,
truly,
the sauce, it's kind of like a tzatziki sauce, like the
oh,
Mediterranean.
yes,
It was
yes.
good, and they're like
It was
falafel,
super
like,
good.
it's very their cuisine is actually similar, a more, like, mild, kinda bland version of Mediterranean food.
Exactly. Well, I lived in Egypt too. And so I'm very familiar. I can tolerate that food, whereas I
Yeah.
can't tolerate a lot of other foods.
Mhm.
My body is designed for the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, like the lentils and the rice and
Yes.
pita
Yes.
bread and the cucumbers, and I mean, it was
Hummus.
good.
I
Yeah.
love hummus. I love hummus. I just love it. Yeah. Yep.
So you were on BIOP, but that's Baghdad International Airport, military and their acronyms.
Yes.
So you were on at
Yes.
BIOP, your entire
Yes.
time in Iraq? Did you
Entire
go
time. Yes.
and then did you go off post at all?
We went we went off post almost daily.
Okay,
Working at the IG office, our responsibility at the time we were in Iraq was to check on how soldiers were living, make
okay.
sure that whatever they can't get, that we can get it for them, to make them more comfortable, whether it be cots or actually just having somebody exterminate. The biggest problem soldiers had with their living areas was fleas,
Sand
from my
fleas.
experience.
Oh, yeah. I ended up
And
getting
so,
sent garlic pills. My mom sent me garlic pills to take to try and repel them, and it
yes,
did help, but yeah, the sand fleas were
yes,
horrible.
yes. And so a lot of people had bites and they were, you know, it was hot. And, you know, so we uh, made sure that, you know, every unit had 10 grand on hand to spend at any time. Go buy some air conditioners, turn the receipts in, get some more 10 grand, go buy some cot. We had mattresses on our cot
I
because,
feel like my
you know,
unit did not get that memo. Or my
and so
commander
every,
pocketed the 10K.
exactly. So,
What the
you know,
hell?
and so we went around and we really tried to make people's lives as best as possible, considering the circumstances of being in a war zone with nothing. So, you
Yeah.
know, we even bought, you know, washing machines where um, we had a cord we could plug in the washer so the washer would agitate and it would not spin though. So we had to wring the clothes out and hang them up. And when we first got there, we were dumb. We washed our clothes at night, hung them
Mhm.
up, thinking the next morning they'll be dry. And then a haboob comes, a sandstorm comes, and here we got, you know, sand in our undies again. Now we got to rewash everything on our hands. This was before the
Mhm.
washing machine, and so that was never fun washing clothes and wringing them. It took two people to wring out BDU pants. We
Oh
would
yeah.
have to twist them
Yep.
and
Twist on
twist them.
each end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
And
very
so,
well familiar. Whole new
and so we,
appreciation
what
for a
we,
washer and dryer nowadays, huh?
hallelujah. And so what we did is we decided we worked 6 days a week. We had one day off. We're going to wash the morning. We're going to get up like the same time we go to work, but we'd wash, hang our clothes out. They'd be dry in 2 hours, fold them up, put them in the locker.
Hmm.
There was still sand in everything, underwear. I mean, so yeah, we went off post every day and came back soaking wet. And sometimes there wasn't water to shower.
Yeah.
The water ran out. Yeah, we got the onion skin bags delivered on the 18-wheeler truck, on the flatbed truck,
Hmm.
and that was our source of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was our, our daily thing.
So when you went out, um, I'm just saying, did you ever go to Abu Ghraib? Because that's where I was, and we never felt like I mean, I could tell some stories, but this is not my episode, it's yours. So I was just curious,
Mhm.
did you ever make it out there or
I never made it out there, but my
Camp
office did.
Victory?
Didn't make it to Camp Victory either. We stayed on Bayat, but um, our office investigated the Abu Ghraib scandal,
Yeah,
and we had to do a report to then what was his name, General. I can't think
Sanchez,
of his name right now. No, well, right after Dempsey, General
Dempsey,
Dempsey became the commander after Sanchez was
relieved.
disposed of. Yeah, fired. I started to say fired.
Yeah, you're not really fired in the military though, are you? They'll find something
No,
to work for.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
so we deployed under Sanchez, and Sanchez is the one who sent us over there with nothing, just to say, "Oh, we'll go. Oh, yeah, our division is ready." We were not ready at all. When we got issued our plates and our protective gear, we had one plate per soldier versus the required
pass it
two,
around.
and
Yeah.
you had to decide
You want it
on
on the front or the
whether you're
back?
going to front of the bag. Depends on where you ride in a vehicle. I was a TC, plate always in the front. The guy behind me, plate's always in the back. I put that in my book,
We didn't
definitely.
even get plates until I think 4 months into it.
Oh my
We
gosh.
had the old
See?
school flak vests.
Yes, with nothing, whatever is
Yeah,
in
with
there.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
was
That's
crazy. But
sad.
I agree with you. We weren't ready. It was kind of like I mean how the military is, right? Hurry up and wait. And so we hurry up
Yes.
and then we got there and then we waited for appropriate equipment to arrive and that was just not okay. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
That's the
felt
way it was.
I'm curious about kind of your mindset going in, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're a 19-year veteran at this point. I went in and I was 19 years old when I was there.
Oh my goodness.
So the dynamic, like
Wow.
I was naive in the fact of what I should have had or what equipment might have been available to me or what protocols should have been taken place. I feel like it was a blessing in disguise looking back, but you have being a seasoned army, enlisted person for
Mm-hmm.
19 years and then to go into be subject to everything that we've been kind of chatting about. What is your mindset like during that time and those around you? And did you have younger soldiers that you kind of maybe, being this almost probably like a mother role, right? Can you talk maybe a little bit
Yeah,
about that?
absolutely. Well, my mindset was like, oh boy, the splat has hit the fan.
Mhm.
Okay, so my husband was in Bosnia at the time. Of course, I didn't have any children at home. My daughter was already grown. And so, I was like, okay, just go with the flow. Um, and I watched as the statue toppled in Iraq when the Statue of Saddam toppled, I knew right then and there we were get ready to go. And we got orders shortly after that. And I just felt as though I was like, Uncle Sam has raised my child, exposed her to the best schools, taken her on, field trips to Paris, and now he needs something for me to do. He needs me
Okay.
to do this thing. He needs me to do this thing for him, whereas he's done so much for me. So I'm going to go ahead and write this blank check for my country because I signed on the dotted line saying that if it ever came to this, I would be ready to fight. So I adjusted my mind, and that became my mindset right there. And yeah, I had in my unit of the six women, I mean, of the six people team, there were three women, all married. Um, the major and I had no children, but the other E7 and the E4 driver, Maria, they had young children. They were, 10 and under. And so I just tried to be understanding with them because it just, I've been in a situation where I had my child with me and had to figure out things, but never to the extent of having to leave your child and go to this unknown place and not know if you're ever going to make it back.
Yeah.
They advised us at the time to get tattoos in case you needed to be identified. We were advised to get tattoos when the Army had a strict policy of no tattoos at the time. No, I went and got myself decorated.
What tattoos did you get?
I got big, um, this big black cat head on my
Mm-hmm.
shoulder. And then I ride a Harley also. And I just have like, I have a cross for my father. I have a flower here. I have a black cat there. And, you know, I just love that. So, I was the only person in my office that got tattooed. But anyway, we started packing our Conexes. And you bring up a good point is though, there were so many things that we needed that we didn't have. I used US CAP because I was in Europe at the time, and I ordered the 5,000 surgical masks because something in my mind told me I needed that. I brought food, I brought sanitary napkins for days because I didn't know when we were leaving, our return date was indefinite.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant to me forever in
Right.
my thought process.
Yeah.
um, I brought a lot of extra stuff for myself and for my teammates because nobody knew what we were going to need. So I tried to bring everything that I could think of, and so we packed all our little personal stuff in the Connex. I packed food. I packed hoagie bake, potato chips, you name it, candy and all that. And so it got there like 6 months after we got there. We were so excited when our Connex got there. It was just like better than Christmas. You know, I bought a portable shower because I didn't know how we were going to take showers. And, we had to do things like carry bottled water in the shower in case we ran out of water and your
Mm-hmm.
hair is all full of shampoo. So at
Mm-hmm.
least you can rinse out your shampoo when we run out of water and rinse the soap off. So it was okay for me. It was just trying to stay ahead of the game, having your tennis shoes handy instead of your flip flops. I cut my ankle on a tent peg, cut it wide open. So I had to learn don't wear your flip flops in the middle of the night, carry a flashlight, have your tennis shoes handy, and go to the porta john so you don't kill yourself.
Right.
And this one poor girl left the showers in the dark and walked into Constantino razor wire.
Oh,
She had to
no.
be she had to be medically evacuated. She was bleeding. And they couldn't stop her from bleeding. She's bleeding
God.
everywhere. And she didn't have her flashlight. So that was another lesson, you know. We had the flashlights on your head. You better have just a bunch of different flashlights,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was the time, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think,
y-
go ahead.
mhm. Yeah, and we had to be there. Women had to be there for each other because a male's experience was quite different than ours.
Hmm.
So, you know, the females naturally kind of gravitated toward each other when it came to what we needed or how we felt. You know, we didn't want to be harped on as complainers, but we had legitimate concerns, but we could really only talk about them amongst ourselves.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Uh, so let's go ahead and kind of dive into a little bit of July 3rd.
Okay, July 3rd was a day. Well, for me, it happened the night before. The night before, I had this weird, strange feeling that something was going to happen soon. And so I brought my Bible, but it was the first time in July that I decided I wanted to read it. So I just opened it up. I said, whatever I open up to, I'm going to read the whole book. So I opened it up to Proverbs. So I read the whole book of Proverbs. And after that, I had taken my shower. I read my Bible, and then after that, I was like just ready to go to sleep, trying to wind down, hoping there's no mortar fire tonight that we got to jump up and go to you know, to the bunker. And so I'm laying there, and something said, you know, what would you do if something happened to Maria? How would you manage to get her out of the driver's seat and drive? So I went through that in my head. Then I went to sleep. And then the next morning, I woke up still having that strange, weird feeling. We all went to breakfast together because we had a convoy meeting immediately following breakfast. So we go to the convoy meeting at 9, and we're advised by the MP escort who escorted us that day how to respond in the event that we get attacked. We were supposed to um, leave the kill zone immediately so that we could get our team gathered and assess the damage and injury. And okay, we got that in our head. And so everybody mounts up and we're going through the barrels. The barrels I'll never forget. You're supposed to lock and load going through the barrels. I used to lock and load conveniently just whenever after the barrels. I didn't, you know. But that particular day, I was locked and loaded before we crossed the barrels. And my teammate told me that this was the first time that you ever locked and loaded before we crossed the barrels. I was pretty nonchalant about that. And nobody was joking that day in the vehicle. Nobody was, you know, cracking jokes or picking on anybody. It was solemnly quiet. The ride was solemnly quiet. And so we left Baghdad International Airport. And so we're on our way to visit, I think it's 1 in 34th Infantry. I can't remember exactly, but they're on the other side of Haifa Street. So we were advised when we go on Haifa Street, it's a, a, terroristic area that you have to be really aware of. So we're like, okay, we got that in our mind. So we hit the market, and the market is so crowded that in each vehicle, 3 people need to dismount out of the vehicle and put ourselves in harm's way to ensure that we're not blindly attacked. So we went through the market. To me, it's harrowing, it's nerve wracking, because you're on swivel. You got to make sure you see everything. You got to see everybody, what everybody carrying, are they acting suspicious? All this has to happen within seconds. You've got to assess everything. So we get through the market, everybody gets back in their vehicles, and we are continuing toward Haifa Street. We hit a traffic circle, and this lady was in a truck, or it was a truck. It was a Iraqi lady, I would assume. And so we're in the Shiad area of Iraq. And so she bends, she's in the middle. So she bends forward and she looks over at me and she gives me the thumbs up. And so I remember that specifically because I'm thinking, well, maybe they can't do what we do. And, you know, and underneath it all, yeah, we're here during a war, but maybe they admire women who are in the US Armed Forces because that's something that they can't do. And
Right.
so we go through that traffic circle, and then something else, there was an anomaly. I was like, why are all these people lined up on the sidewalk on both sides of the street? I said, maybe there's a parade coming. Before coming could finish, I heard the whistle of an RPG, and it hit a empty car, which was loaded with explosives, and that car detonated the three IEDs. We were a three vehicle convoy. Luckily, they detonated it from a rooftop and the detonation was off. One of the IEDs went under the hood area of the first vehicle. It went up in the air, came down, flattened all four tires. Everybody gets out of the vehicle. They run to try to get under this apartment balcony for cover. The IED went off in front of our vehicle and it went off in front of the third vehicle. So after the detonation of all five of these detonations, the attack follows up with AK-47 fire. So now we're being fired upon. And we're trapped in our vehicles because the AK-47 bullet came in my TC square window, went in between four people's shoulders, and hit the third vehicle driver. So after that, we left the kill zone, went around the block, assessed the damage and what was going on, but we still had five people left there that we had to
Yeah.
come back to Haifa Street. That was not fun. Going back to get them. That was not a fun time because I'm thinking, oh my God, we got to go back. They're definitely going to kill us now, you know.
And they didn't have
So,
comms on them because they were reliant upon the vehicle comms, but those was down. So they got out, got cover, and they have no comms.
that's exactly correct. And so we went back, we got our people, and luckily I speak a little Arabic because they were starting to mob us. And I just asked them, please, can you just open up a way for these people to come out? And they did, thank God. And so they got in the vehicle, the only two vehicles we had, everybody piled in, and we left Haifa Street and went to the green zone. Our unit never came to get us. We caught a ride with the National Guard back to our unit. Like 8 hours later after this explosion, we got back to our unit. It was dark. The attack happened at 9 a.m. So you can imagine all that time we're just in the green zone looking like weirdos trying to
Well,
hop a
even just
ride.
trying, what do you do in that time? Like, I know, but like looking back,
Mhm,
reflecting on that, right? Like,
mhm.
what do you do in that time period? Like, what's going
We,
on in your mind? And I ask you this as a let's educate our audience on it.
mhm,
I
mhm,
have a pretty good idea, at
mhm,
least what would be going on in my mind in
mhm,
the conflict,
mhm,
right? The conflict
mhm,
in your head
mhm,
of what
mhm.
you want to do versus what you have to do in
Yes.
that kind of
It's
time.
a really, you know, I'm asthmatic too. And no asthma popped up during this
You don't have time for asthma, girl.
armed during this armed conflict because we had to return fire when we came back to set up a perimeter to get our people.
Mhm.
And a tragic thing happened. There were these two little girls, and only me and my supervisor returned fire. Only two people. And these girls, they were putting them in the taxi to take them to the hospital because they were shot. Either he shot them or I shot. So, um, after that, we confiscated this reporter's film because he was filming the whole event. And we got our people and we got out of there. And what I was thinking was, I cannot believe these people, they tried to kill us.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, me specifically, like, um, it was a horrible feeling because all we did was re go over these facts over and over and over for hours. Then we decided we were thirsty. We didn't have anything to drink. So in the green zone, they had this little drink area and that's where we sat for 7 hours waiting for somebody to come and pick us up. And nobody ever did. Yeah. And and
Maybe,
then and then it turns into anger. Here I am over here risking my life and my unit can't even come and pick me up.
yeah.
So that's what was going on in my mind. Yeah. It was a lot of anger from that day that I had to learn how to leave alone. It was not healthy for me
Did
to
you carry
harbor all
that
that.
did you carry that anger after leaving Iraq? Is it something that
Yes,
you've had to can we talk about that a little bit?
absolutely. Yes. I received regular therapy and I had to learn to let go of the guilt of those two little girls. It was wrecking me. I thought about it every day. I thought about it every night. I I I asked for forgiveness. In the event I did do it. And it took a veterans counselor to help me to put it in perspective enough to really be at ease with that situation. Um, he told me, you did not ask to be in Iraq. You did not volunteer to go. I mean, you did not like, I want to go, you know. And number two, those children's parents shouldn't have had them there. Shouldn't have been there. And I was involved in something that I had no control over. I was in a war and I had duties that had to be executed.
Yeah.
And therefore, none of it is really my intentional fault. That was a very difficult thing to understand for me.
How was this almost immediate when you got back from deployment
Yes,
or how, yeah,
yes.
you were able to go
I
through that?
I carried that anger from the day it happened
But I mean, processing
until
it and going through that healing part, did that happen
yeah.
immediately as well? Or how
No,
long?
it took about another 10 years for me to
10
hit the
years.
right, yep, to hit the right therapist who had the right message to relieve me of all of that guilt.
Yeah.
Took a long time.
Were there consequences of carrying around that anger and guilt for a decade that affected you?
Yes, yes. I was really, and I still am. I'm better than I was, but initially I was extremely desensitized. Um, Totally not romantic. Was not interested in that. It seemed like I was always interested in making sure everything was okay, safe wise. But I lost myself that day. I truly lost the innocence, the love, the caring, the nurturing. I didn't have that anymore after that episode happened in Iraq. I'm on my third divorce. I was on my second marriage at the time of my time in Iraq, and so yeah, it's parts of me that are totally broken, and I just go day by day, hoping to find the solution to maybe fix one out of 50 broken things. If I can just try to fix one per day, I call that progress, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's a really great way to look at it. I had a mentor tell me that even if I can only put 1% effort into something every day, I'm still going to be 365% more ahead 1 year from now. And
That's right.
so I feel like a lot of times we can get overwhelmed in the bigger picture of things, and we need to just scale it back and be like, okay, what can I do today? What can I do right now in this moment, in this hour to, whatever that may be, to heal a little bit, to advance my career, to help this
Hmm.
relationship, to, whatever that may be. So I think that's a really great way that you were able to look at it and continue to look at it, right?
Yes, yes. It brings me peace. That was another very, very difficult thing to get was peace. So now I have peace. Yeah, I'm working on my third divorce as we speak. Um, something happened a few days ago related to domestic violence, and I don't feel as though I owe myself another go at it because domestic violence doesn't get better as it goes along, it gets worse. So, um, my husband being charged with domestic violence has been my wake up call that this is not the person I need in my life, regardless of me thinking that he is, because
Yeah.
I don't want to need somebody so bad that I need the wrong person. So that's the relationship situation that I'm in right now. But I'm still happy that um, God has given me back my space, my grace, and my peace. I need those things vitally.
Yeah.
I can do without a relationship right now to continue to get myself together and publish my book. And it's things that I need for people to know about. I need
Yeah.
people to know what we went through, and it was not just a walk in the park. um, it took a lot of guts to do what we did, a
Yeah.
lot of guts, a lot of guts. And that's kind of how I realized how resilient I really am. All I have to do is think back to that day and bing, I get power, you know?
What would you say to the women, our fellow female combat veterans out there that feel unworthy, invalid of their time that they spent?
First, take it little by little. Don't let your combat situation overwhelm you and control you. You take control back. You own this. Um, if you're religious, pray. If you're not religious, write. Write down what hurts your heart. Write down how you don't feel complete, but you're beautiful and you are complete. And don't ever let anybody steal your joy, and don't allow people to mistreat you, because you when you let it slide, you're giving them the manual on how to treat you. So make sure that you respect yourself enough to be treated well.
That is
Yeah.
so beautifully put. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that from
And
my heart.
yeah, I don't think anyone will doubt anything other than that. And for the people who don't understand what we've been through, our civilians, our, common, even our younger youth, right, that are just turning 20, 21, and were born actually during that era.
Mhm.
Um, what would you maybe share with them as insight wisdom based on the experiences that you had living through and participating even in that period of time?
Mhm. Um, ooh, that's difficult. However, I can't say I had a bad time in the Army. The Army made me the person that I am. It gave me the strength and the resilience. The Army taught me how to be a whole and total individual who works with a team. A lot of people don't get that training. So, yeah, the Army is a wonderful institution if you want to be a better person and you feel as though the resources the Army offers you fit well into your situation, join the Army. But be very well aware that joining the Army means that you owe them something.
Yeah.
When you sign that dotted line, you really owe them your life. You're giving it away to your
Yep.
country.
Read the fine
Just be
print.
aware of that. Read the fine print. It's not for everybody, but there's some
No.
people who need that fulfillment of patriotism.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely going to say that was me. And I don't regret one single thing that happened to me because it made me the better person that I am today.
Amen. I feel the exact same way, the same exact way. Yeah, a lot of crap happened, but I am who I am today
Look,
because of all that crap. I'm resilient and resourceful and creative and yes, all those things. So, but I also think that comes with perspective, right? If you want to focus on all
yeah,
the negative, then that's what's going to surface. But if you can look
exactly.
through the fog and see the
Hmm.
clear and the lessons and the experience and the skill set, then you can absolutely flip it on its head and find so
Hmm.
much good and positive in the experience as
Hmm.
well.
Exactly.
So
Just like
you
running into you, just how weird is that?
I people are being brought into my life by the grace of God and the universe, and
Yes.
I just accept all the gifts. That is where I'm at right now in my life. So I'm thankful that you
Mhm.
are in my life now, Tracy, and this will be a lifelong friendship now. I know it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you kind of gave it away a little bit, but you did share you're working on your own publication, your own book,
Yes.
a memoir, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
Would you like to maybe give I mean, I know we kind of went down a little bit memory lane of what you plan to cover in more depth, but maybe do you have a title
Mhm.
picked out yet? How far along are you?
I'm still working on the right title, but for right now, it's called About That Day because it is a memoir about the specific day of July 3rd, 2003, what led up to it, what happened, and how my life has progressed after the event.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I really need to publish this message
Yes. Yes,
to
you do.
other other women, women in arms, that we are worthy, we are good people, even though things happened and we were put in the worst of situations. But let that be your shine that, man, I'm battle tested.
Battle
There's
tested. I
nothing,
love that.
yeah, there's nothing I can't do. And I try to incorporate that into my daily mantra just to get me out of bed and moving.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about my publication, still working diligently on it.
From 1 to, 100% being complete, where do you feel like you find yourself?
I am I am at 90% completion of
Okay.
this book. Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
Well, that is so exciting. I am a
yes.
1000% going to be making some introductions for you. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to read it and to
Yeah,
promote it and to share it with anybody and everybody that I
thank
talk
you.
to. You are very much a part of this Not So Average Jane community now. And I am so
Yes,
thankful for you coming into my life and having the courage to share your story with us. And I hope that the audience has gained some insight, value, wisdom, or inspiration from Tracy sharing her story. That is the motivation behind the podcast, really, as well as education, because I feel like, again, our marks need to be written and it needs to be recorded in time, in history. We need to be a part of it, and we've been neglected or labeled silent or invisible for too long. And so I'm building an army of badass women around me, and here we go. So thank you, Tracy. I will leave any last words with you, and I'm so grateful for you. And again, yeah, this will be a lifelong friendship from here on out.
I am so definitely looking forward to more contact with you, and I am so grateful that you allowed me time to be on your show. I am so eternally grateful for that. And I'm glad that we have a meeting of the minds where we understand and we appreciate and understand what each other have been through.
Yeah.
And I hope I can be here to support you in whatever way I can to make this a totally successful platform, which it already is. But in whatever way I can help you, just let me know. I'm definitely dedicated now.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that so, so much. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. As always, tune back in. We are sharing the amazing, courageous stories of female combat veterans here on the Not So Average Jane. We'll catch you on the next one.
To subscribe for more episodes of the Not So Average Jane podcast.